Mackenzie Johnston with Cattle News Central, bringing you your July 31st, your Sunday evening cattle industry headlines. Brought to you by AgRisk Advisors. They manage your risk so you can manage your operation. They are the experts in educating, evaluating, and executing risk management programs for each individual operation, while also providing top-notch customer service. Now is the time to start thinking about enrolling in the Pasture Rangeland Forage Program for the 2023 crop year. If you want to learn more about this, go ahead and reach out to Alex and Naya to learn how to set up a tracking policy so you can understand how the program works firsthand. AgRisk Advisors, risks averted, legacies preserved. We are also sponsored by Circle 5 Cow School. If you're wanting to learn how to preg check your own cows or start AIing, Circle 5 Cow School is definitely the way to go. Almost every week, they're hosting classes somewhere between Texas and Tennessee. They do a fantastic job. If you want to check out their schedule, head on over to circle5cowschool.com. That is the number 5 in there, or you can go ahead and just give them a follow on Facebook. According to Fox Business News, the American Prairie, a conservation project up in Montana, they've managed to acquire more than 450,000 acres of land with the help of their billionaire donors and the federal government. According to the American Prairie Foundation, the group plans to create the largest fully functioning ecosystem in the continental U.S. by stitching together about 3.2 million acres of private and public lands. The group has recorded 34 transactions spanning about 453,188 acres of land throughout central Montana since 2004, and they continue to buy up land like it is going out of style. The goal is to assemble the largest complex of public and private lands devoted to wildlife, so about 25% larger than Yellowstone. That's the plan. The American Prairie has been able to buy up land left and right thanks to the foundation raising tens of millions of dollars in recent years, due in large part to its donors, which include well-known Wall Street and Silicon Valley tycoons. Though through these donor funds, the group has purchased about 118,000 acres of private land and leased another 334,000 acres of public land owned primarily by the federal government. American Prairie's Vice President and Chief External Relations Officer, Pete Geddes, said central Montana is a great place to buy up this land and turn it into a nature reserve because very few people live there. So he believes that there shouldn't be much conflict over conservation when they buy up these enormous tracts of land. But obviously, you and I both know it, there is a lot of pushback, and there should be. State officials and local ranchers say a nature reserve would remove key land from ag production and negatively impact surrounding privately owned lands. The main concern is the possibility of free-roaming bison on the nature reserve that could infect surrounding livestock with brucellosis. The foundation requested permission from the BLM to allow bison grazing on portions of the leased property in 2017 and then again in 2019. And last week, the BLM announced its approval for the bison to graze across 63,500 acres of the reserve. According to Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen, what the AP is doing is flat out illegal. The Taylor Grazing Act, which is a federal law, that says this federal land that the AP is buying up is set aside for livestock grazing, not bison, and they aren't considered livestock under federal law. Bison, they are not. An estimated 800 bison currently roam on some of the American Prairie's property, but of course the group hopes that number will increase by several thousand in the near future. This update is also sponsored by 4T Ag Insurance, your go-to contractor for ag insurance. Colt Tritt, he is the owner and operator of 4T Ag. He's a one-man show, and he himself ranches like the rest of us. So he understands all the risks that go along with the livestock industry. 4T Ag, they offer LRPs on both fed and feeder cattle. They offer PRF insurance and just about every other insurance option out there. If you want to learn more about the company, head on over to 4tag.net. That is the number 4, TAG.net. DTN Progressive Farmer has reported a lawsuit claiming Smithfield Foods misled consumers about the state of the meat supply chain and packing plant worker safety during COVID will continue, as a Superior Court judge in Washington, D.C. denied a motion to dismiss the case. The lawsuit was filed by the Food and Water Watch back in June of 2022 in the District of Columbia, and it is alleging the meat giant violated the Consumer Protection Procedures Act and continues to mislead consumers in the District of Columbia about the state of the national meat supply chain and the company's workplace safety practices. Food and Water Watch, they believe Smithfield mounted a distinctively aggressive public relations campaign geared toward leveraging the pandemic to grow profits. The group claims the company misrepresented working conditions at its packing plants in an effort to subdue heightened consumer concern for plant workers. Additionally, the group alleges the meat giant conducted an advertising and social media campaign to assure consumers that company workers were protected from the hazards of COVID and warn about crimped meat supplies. However, the lawsuit claims this messaging was misleading and far from the truth. Finally, National Beef Wire has reported for the week beginning July 18th, net beef sales totaled 25,300 metric tons, up 6% from the previous week and up 66% from the prior 4-week average. That is all I have for you guys this morning. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Stay cool out there this week. It is going to be awfully hot here in central Nebraska, another warm one. I will be back on Tuesday evening, so I'll catch you later.